Hey guys, Moon here, and welcome back to some more NieR Replicant. And we are on the title screen right now, because the last time we cleared ending A. And with how much space there is, I'm assuming there will be 6 endings? Maybe 5? And last episode absolutely blew my mind. Like, the amount of things I was able to get correct, and yet I was flabbergasted, to say the least. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal this game is. And I feel like it's going to become even more so because we're gonna now take a look at Kaine's story.
Whenever I interacted with Kaine, I was reminded about something from my past. Maybe my mind has been confusing her with my sister this whole time. Anyway...
Kaine's dreams. Discrimination. The sound of rain filled the village. The steep cliffs that surrounded the area magnified the sound, causing even the slightest drizzle to rattle like a thunderstorm. Thin wisps of smoke steamed from huts as the villagers huddled in their homes and waited out the rain. A single child, however, had braved the downpour, and was now wandering slowly towards the wooden hawk-shaped weather vane at the center of town. The wanderer reached the vane, which had existed for as long as anyone could remember, and stared. The child's face was simultaneously delicate and fierce, a teacup that had survived a shipwreck. The traits combined with pale white skin to give the face an almost sexless quality. If the beak turns east, I head home. If it stays west, then I... The child blinked. Rain slowly dripped down the young one's short hair and began its long descent to the ground. Come on! Come on! The child felt a slight breeze and watched as the weather vane slowly creaked to life. Spinning this way and that for a moment, it finally settled with the beak pointing firmly towards the east. East? Really? Before the vane could move again, a jagged rock came spinning and tumbling through the air, striking home against the child's head. The force of the blow dropped the child to the ground as a hail of stones began to fall around. Oh no, they found me. A heartbreaking smile crept across the child's face as the stones continued their assault. Through the rain, the sounds of multiple footsteps grew louder before the voice rang out. Yoo-hoo! Kaine! The voice belonged to Demo, the worst of all the bullies in the area. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from the cut above her eye and blurred her vision, but she could not make out the shape of Demo and his usual gang of idiots. The boys seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but quickly regained his bravado. What's up, freak? You like the rain? You like getting all wet? Or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she could get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelty burning in their eyes. Kaine knew that they were not the Kaine knew those eyes were not the only eyes on her. The tormentor's parents watched from the safety of their homes. She was attuned to the sensation. It was one she experienced many, many times before. While some villagers simply turned a blind eye to the actions of their children, many openly encouraged it. In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kaine was something to be hated, and if possible, destroyed. I didn't say you can leave, freak. Demo's words chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave. He can't hurt me, he can't hurt me, he can't... Oh look, the little freak's gonna cry. Oh, what's wrong? You said that everyone... Are you sad that everyone hates you and wants you dead? Kaine prayed for the rain to flood down and carry her away from a world that seemed to have no place for her. But if there were gods, they chose to ignore her. As Demo crept even closer, the clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless. I'm a failure. I wish Demo's rocket had taken my head off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. She could smell the scent of old meat on his breath. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with the thick fingers and yanked it upwards. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed a thumb against her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you just say no? Demo grinned evilly. You didn't just say no to me. No one says no to me. Not even taking his attention from Kaine, he called to his cohorts, Come on, guys. Let's give the freak what she deserves. As soon as Demo finished, kicks and blows began to rain down upon Kaine. Demo paused, still grinning, as Kaine curled up into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for, huh? Everyone knows what you really are. Kaine ignored the question, instead choosing to stare at the weather vane. Continued to point east, as if supremely confident about the future it had chosen for her. Go home? Yeah, that's a funny joke for someone with dead parents and no home to go to. Freak! Chanted the children. Freak! 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 Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hands of the village children closed around her, she bent her mind to the sounds of the rain, letting it become her entire world. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of her tormentors turned to terrified cries did she dare to open up a single blood-caked eye. Kaine was shocked to see that Demo sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see the blood welling from spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. Oh my god, he's crying! He's actually crying! Deprived of their leader, the other children glanced back and forth between themselves, as if waiting for someone to take a step forward and take charge. When no survivor emerged, they began to all uneasily shuffle away from Kaine. But the young girl was the least of their concerns. Instead, their attention was wrapped on the ancient woman standing just a few feet away. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. Hurts like a bitch, don't it? Now I suggest that you scatter before I throw another one. And if any of you little bastards ever touch my Kaine again, I'll do worse than just throw a rock. You can count on it. The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hands Demo was used to cover the wound. Before he could protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. Ow! He screamed, leaping to his feet. Stop it! What are you doing? Quit whining. Ain't no one ever died from a little scratch. You hit me with a rock, you dumb bitch! A big one! That thing could have killed me! The old woman just shrugged. Death is the best cure for stupidity. Demo face twisted with rage at her words, locking his eyes on Kaine. He took a step backward and spat on the ground. Get out. Leave this village. No one wants you. Either of you. Seeing the old woman grab another stone, Demo and his companions turned tail and ran. As they fled, the old woman grabbed the side and barked out a single laugh. Look at the fat boy go. Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight. The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention towards Kaine. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulders, and then produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting the blood from her forehead. Oh, Kaine, she said, why didn't you fight back? You're stronger than the lot of them. The words of her grandmother stung Kaine as she turned away. Don't be nice to me, she said. I don't deserve it. Nothing matters anymore. Her tears, held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. Everyone hates me. They think I cause bad things to happen. They say I'm a freak. I wish I was dead. As Kaine's tears turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hand on her shoulders. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength, and Kaine found herself unable to turn away. Don't talk like that, girl. It's a river wide and deep that flows between the realms of this world and the next, and grants no mercy to any that attempt the crossing. You got a duty to fight until your last breath. Understood? The old woman tightened her grip and tried to shed the trembling in her voice. You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine? You know it because you survived it. As the words hit home, Kaine was struck by a force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know her grandmother, but when her parents died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first years together had not been easy. But with each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had gone closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood caked on her face, that Kaine truly understood the depth of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand Kaine's pain and loneliness, it was her. Do I make you sick, Grandma? Of course not, don't be such an ass. Kaine drew her grandmother's moth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. But my body, it's not normal. If I was normal, then Mom and Dad wouldn't... Hush, interrupted Grandma. I will not hear another word of this fucking nonsense. You're my granddaughter, and I love you. And if these folks have a fucking problem with that, they can just all go to hell. With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers on Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend the flowers without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, and the beauty of it all just made Kaine want to cry all over again. Oh my gosh! These are lunar tears! Grandma, did you make these for me? Lunar tears were legendary flowers. Most people could live their entire lives without seeing one, and yet her grandmother somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. What? Where did you find these? Just stumbling on them while I was out doing the shopping. The old woman turned away as she spoke, but leading Kaine to suspect that the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flowers used in its construction, it made Kaine's heart hurt. She reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it felt in her fingers. Didn't quite turn out right, said her grandmother as she squinted at it. These old hands have trouble with delicate work, but it looks good on a pretty girl like you. Kaine blushed and turned away. You think I'm pretty? Of course you are. What a fool thing to say. Thank you, Grandma. Her grandmother smiled. We're gonna be fine, you and me, she said. As long as we got each other, we'll be fine. Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled back up to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped the hand with all her might, as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away in the wind. The rain stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in lazy circles, no longer caring about the direction it had faced when it stopped. I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me and that's enough. Even if it's us against the world. Kaine let her gaze drift up and past the weather vane and into the cloudy sky. The last faint hints of a rainbow were slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. Kaine's dreams, daily life. In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sounds of an axe striking wood. The noise had purposeful quality to it, as if she was hearing a master woodsman go about his work. The firewood being produced, however, was far from a work of art as it could be. Pieces of every shape and size were being flung around a barren yard with wild ambition. Anyone trying to stack such wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. Stupid piece of shit axe! Kaine's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinters of wood and words that would make even the most hardened of sailors blush. Grandmother, called Kaine. Grandma, called Kaine. Is that you, Kaine? Yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. Don't get too close, or I might take your goddamn foot off by mistake. She brought the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. One spun past Kaine's close enough for her to hear. One spun past Kaine close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to take a step back. Once she scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, "Grandma! Do you need help? Or Grandma, do you need help? I could get you water or lunch or a new axe or something." The axe, poised to strike another wobbly blow, paused in midair. The old woman considered her granddaughter's offer for a moment, then smiled. "Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss-poor job of chopping, why don't you come here and take over so I can get a glass of water? Shades have been restless lately, and I don't want you running into one of them bastards." Relinquishing the axe, her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was the far more difficult job of the two, but Kaine knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Kaine did her best to help with chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Kaine knew the reason. She didn't want her granddaughter to be taunted and harassed by the villagers. Once Kaine moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance away from the area. Out of sight, out of mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to the villagers and her granddaughter, and rare were the days where any but the two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land they called home. Kaine enjoyed the solitude, but harbored a secret resentment for her grandmother was forced to spend her golden years in such a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Kaine turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped wood before in her life, and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Swing after swing of the axe produced nothing but tiny cracks in the wood, and when she finally managed to connect with a solid strike, the tool embedded itself in the log and refused to budge. Frustrated, Kaine swung the axe around her head and threw it, log and all, across the yard. Damn it! Oh, crap. She suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt. She suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt in a good curse. Happier now, she picked up the axe and forced it from the wood and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with a blade, but the task was challenging, and blisters soon began to form on her small pink hands. This is tough, and my logs are all weird sizes. Spitting on her palms and ignoring the pain, Kaine redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village. Setting down the buckets with a small sigh, she took one look at the logs and coughed out a wheezy laugh. Pretty clumsy, girl. You better practice if you... Her grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Eyes wide, Kaine dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. Grandma! The old woman shook her head and pointed a trembling finger at the bucket. Get the bucket. Can't let it spill. Kaine steadied the bucket with a foot as she knelt by her grandmother. A small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new home in the hem of her dress, but Kaine didn't notice. Grandma! Grandma, what's happening? Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulders and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arm and batted Kaine away. Stop that! Just stop! She cried, breathing heavily. It ain't like I'm dying. Just tired from the trip is all. Kaine desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the old woman's shaking hands and worn face told her more than words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed the bill was finally coming due. The time when her grandmother watched over Kaine was ending. Sooner than either of them had feared, the positions would be reversed. The next morning, Kaine came to the side of her grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. Grandma, you're sick. You need medicine. I'm going to the village. The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Kaine gently pushed her down. It's all right, she said. I'll be fine. Her grandmother fixed her with a gaze that could melt steel. After what seemed like an eternity, she finally lowered her eyes and sighed. Well, I don't like it, goddammit, but I guess I should quit being all so stubborn and let you actually grow up. The old woman watched as Kaine strapped on her boots and made her way down to the road to the village. Hours later, as an unseen sun made its way across the dark and rainy sky, she was still watching. Kaine moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes to make sure that she had the money that her grandmother the money her grandmother gave her was still there. Every noise caused her to spin on her heels, making sure she wasn't being stalked by a shade or worse, Demo and his gang. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades, and Kaine finally found herself at the entrance of the village. A few adults she could see glanced sideways at her, then muttered to each other behind raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Her heart racing, Kaine took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. I have to prove myself. I have to help Grandma. I have to be strong. She chanted these words to herself over and over as she slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air and telling everyone who would listen exactly what she thought of Kaine's presence. Hey lady, said Kaine with a bravado that she didn't feel. Where's the apothecary? Where's the apothecary? The old woman's flabby cheeks shook with bewildered rage. How dare this thing speak to me? They seemed to say. But Kaine saw her eyes hold a different emotion. One of fear. Yeah, we're both scared, lady. Trust me on this one. Which way? Kaine repeated. The woman pointed to a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and stumbling off in the other direction. Kaine cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary. But the new emotion had little time to take root, as for as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He clearly had been sent here on some kind of family errand because his gang of followers were nowhere to be found. "Oh my god," he sputtered. "I mean, what are you doing here, freak?" The insult was delivered without force, and Kaine happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for medication. Barked Demo. That old bitch finally keel over? Go to hell, Demo. The boy's eyes were so wide that they seemed to fall out of his head. But before he could let fly a comeback, or worse, a punch, the apothecary told them to knock it off before he kicked them out of the store. Dino slunk out of the shop, cursing Kaine under his breath. Once he was gone, she allowed himself to breathe once more. Taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication, countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. An ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely in a world so vast, there would be a place that she could call home. On the far wall behind the counter rested a portrait of a stunning young girl. The picture had once contained bright, vibrant colors, but time worked its cruel magic, and they were beginning to fade. The beauty of the work, however, remained undiminished. You like the picture? Kaine turned to find the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad, and they seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. "It's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead for a long time now, though." Kaine didn't know how to respond. She just stared up at the portrait and tried to come up with the right words. "Pictures are a wonderful thing," continued the shopkeeper. "They let the ones closest to you live on forever." He shook his head slightly and looked down at Kaine and smiled. Handing her the medication, he reached into a sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. "You should have these. There's no one left that I wish to draw." Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. "Yeah, I've heard rumors about you," he said. "It's a small village, and word travels quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe. But I also don't think they matter too much. I know your grandma, Callie, and I think the way she was driven out of the village was just deplorable." "Grandma's name is Callie?" thought Kaine suddenly. She was still mulling over the new fact in her mind as she reached out and gently grabbed the crayons from the apothecary's hand. "Your grandmother is an old friend of mine," he said as Kaine scooted away yet again. "I owe her much. I would wager that she would like it if you drew a picture of her." "Yeah, I would. I think she would like that very much." Kaine murmured a quiet agreement, but inside her heart was busting. Never before had a villager treated her with anything other than complete contempt. It was tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless. And with enough tiny steps, she might one day discover the rest of the world. When Kaine returned home, she had found her grandmother asleep in the bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding in some places, leading to Kaine to think that she had been up pacing around the room until exhaustion finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but found the old woman's hand clasped around her arm. "Back again, aren't you?" asked her grandmother with a yawn. "Come here, let me have a look at you." Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe. Finally satisfied that nothing terrible had befallen her grandchild. She leaned back and allowed herself to relax. Well, how was it? Those damn bastards give you any trouble? It was kind of fun, said Kaine with a smile. No, seriously, it was. Fun, eh? Asked her grandmother in a voice that implied that she believed anything but. Uh-huh. So anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know. As she spoke, Kaine removed the crayons from her pocket. After a brief explanation of their source, she informed her grandmother that she was going to be sketching her portrait. A portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at an old wrinkled crone. But Grandma, it will make you live forever. Horseshit, said her grandma, throwing back the sheet from her bed. Living forever would just piss me off. Now put those crayons back and help with dinner. But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house, as if posing for a master artist. Kaine took up the crayons, eyeing her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and slowly let it drift to the floor. This is terrible. It doesn't look like you at all. I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought the crayons would, make drawing easy or something. The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. Let me be the judge of that, she said, ignoring the pain in her back as she reached for the paper. The sketch had been of a person's face. It could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in chaotic array of colors. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time before slowly wheezing out a laugh. Oh, Kaine, she said between laughter. You truly are my blood. You're as clumsy as me. And I love it. But, hush. I won't hear any more bullshit about how ugly you think it is. It comes from the heart, and I'll treasure it forever. True to her word, the old woman gave the picture another place of honor above the kitchen table. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch herself staring at the portrait with a strange smile on her face, an action she interpreted as silent, mocking laughter. A week later, Kaine could stand it no longer, and asked her grandma to take the artwork down. Hush, said the old woman. I'll take it down when they roll me out of my shroud. She pondered for a bit, and then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture makes me happy in ways I've never felt before. And it makes me want to go on, so someday you too can feel the same happiness. It was a moment that buried itself in Kaine's memory. The perfect blend of pride and love and joy that came together in a form of lifetime remembrance. She swore never to forget this moment, to never forget the old woman who had made her place in the world possible. Time moves on. People and memories move in and out of a life like ghosts passing through the halls. But this moment will be different, Kaine swore, because I will remember it forever. Forever. Kaine's dreams. Separation. Kaine listened to the sound of the crackling firewood and stared at the black object on her plate. She had been pushing around the wooden disc for a good 10 minutes, ignoring the bemused stare of her grandmother. Finally, she summoned the courage to give the object a brief sniff. A sharp, bitter scent flew up her nostrils and made its home there, causing her face to twist with disgust. Grandma, I can't believe you want me to eat a fucking bug. Nope, don't swear at your grandmother, and don't swear at your grandparents. But I feel like Callie would be amused at that. Anyway, the old woman threw some more wood under the cooking pot and snorted. It ain't no bug, you foolish girl. It's a berry. Why the hell would I be feeding you a fucking bug? Well, yeah, it looks like a bug, said Kaine. I think it's burnt or something, because it smells awful. With that, Kaine turned her nose and threw the berry into her mouth, chewing as little as possible. Oh yeah, it's terrible, alright. Why, you little brat, laughed the old woman. Look at the sass on you. You've been spending too much time with me. That's a fact. 5 years had passed since Kaine saved... 5 years had passed since the moment when Kaine's grandmother saved her from her bullies. As is often with the ways of two stubborn people, their relationship had grown in fits and starts, but moved forward all the same. Meals that used to be somber affairs were now filled with laughter and hurled insults with equal measure. Kaine couldn't remember a time where she had been happier. As the years went by, Kaine started to shoulder more and more of the daily responsibilities. Her grandmother's legs grew weaker by the day, and she could no longer do many chores as she used to take for granted. And so this morning found Kaine lacing up her work boots with the breakfast of burned berry rolling through her belly. "Where are you going today?" asked Grandma suddenly. Kaine looked up surprised. The old woman rarely asked for specifics anymore. "Well, I was going to check out the kelma tree to see if they were ripe. I thought we could make a jam or something. Oh, and I was going to pick up some flagstones. So I need to take the wheelbarrow." "Flagstones? What the hell is that for?" Kaine stared up at her grandmother, then held out the arm and swept it from her home. Constructing mostly of cloth, rope, and rubble, the old place sagged like a boxer in the final round. "Grandma, the dying cat could chew through this house. I'm gonna build a stone wall so we can have at least some protection." The old woman laughed, exposing a toothless grin to the world. "God damn it, girl. If a bunch of thieves want to ransack this whole place, let them come. We have nothing worth stealing anyway. I'm not worried about thieves. I'm worried about shades. People saw one west of the village yesterday." The old woman tilted her head and stared at her granddaughter. "Oh shoot, I didn't know why you have to do it today. We can worry some other..." "Grandma, no. If I don't go to the kelma trees, we won't eat tonight. You know that." A confused expression passed on the old woman's face, and for a moment she saw a small child lost at a carnival. Yeah, she said after a bit. "Yes, of course you're right. I'm sorry, Kaine. Lately it seems like my mind is..." She didn't finish the thought, instead walking over to her nightstand and gently taking the wreath of lunar tears from the drawer. The flower's petals had aged to a brilliant whiteness, and Kaine thought it was more beautiful now than the day she had first received it. "You're going to become a true woman soon," Grandma said as she placed the flowers in her girl's hair. "So that means less chatter about shades and building defense walls and more talking about how beautiful you've become." Annoyed, Kaine reached up to remove the garland, but the look on her grandmother's face stopped her with her hand. "You're such a beautiful thing," said the old woman, "and there ain't nothing like another you in the world. I'm very proud of you." "Okay, Grandma, that's enough of your goddamn compliments for one day. Such a mouth on you. Where did that come from? Gee, I wonder. I'll teach you some sass. I'll teach you to sass to me, girl," yelled Grandma. Suddenly, she lurched forward and grabbed Kaine by the ear, pulling her around the room with a crazed grin on her face. "Grandma!" yelled Kaine with a quaking voice. "Grandma, stop it! What the hell?" The old woman stared at her and blinked, then slowly held her wrinkled hand out as if the first time she had ever seen them. Oh my, I didn't know what happened there. I'm sorry, girl. Sometimes my mind is just..." Kaine thought the look on her grandma's face was the most heartbreaking thing she had ever seen. "Listen," she began, "maybe I should stay home after all." "No, I won't have you stay here to keep an eye on an old codger like me. You get your fruits and walls and whatnot. I'll be fine. And when you come back, I'll have a nice grasshopper dinner waiting for you." Kaine rolled her eyes and kissed her grandmother on the forehead and made ready to depart. trying desperately to ignore the worry that was gnawing on the walls of her heart. Kaine could feel the old woman's eyes watching her as she moved down the path. Don't turn around. Don't turn around, she told herself. But in the end, the temptation was too great. She spun on her heels for one final look and saw a small, bent woman standing in front of the ramshack hut with a sad expression on her face. Gods, she looks so old now. It's like the wind could reach down and carry her away. Kaine worried about her grandmother all day, causing her work to suffer. What little fruit she could collect was tossed carelessly into the wheelbarrow, and she only found a couple of stones before losing interest in the project. Finally, as dusk approached, she decided to call it a day. Cursing herself for her lack of focus, Kaine pushed the nearly empty wheelbarrow down the path. As she crested the final hill, she finally froze in place. The wheelbarrow fell from her hands and collapsed on its side, sending a few pieces of wrinkled brown fruit rolling down the hill. Her gaze was transfixed by a thick black cloud that hovered just ahead. Tracing its path with a finger, Kaine suddenly felt her stomach knot in on itself. Oh, no! By the gods, no! Her grandmother's house was ablaze, the flames licking up as if trying to touch the sky itself. Grandma? Grandma! Kaine ran then, faster than she had ever moved in her life. Once she tripped on a stone and was sprawling onto the rocky ground, but she leapt up to her feet and continued running, unmindful of the blood that spilled from her wounded hands and knees. As she got closer and closer, Kaine's mind began to race, in time with her footfalls. It's too dark. It's too dark, not just fire. Can't be fire, there's too much smoke. Gotta save her, gotta save her! She busted through the front door. She busted into the front yard and suddenly came to a halt, and her worst suspicions confirmed. The smoke from the fire was mingled with the thick inky blackness of an enormous shade. The massive creature supported itself on three twisted feet, and achieved a balance through means of a large armored tail. Scales, horns, and claws sprouted from its body in a random chaotic pattern, giving the appearance of a lizard designed by some insane god. Seeing Kaine, it let out a roar and flicked its tail, sending a small whirlwind spinning around the yard. For a moment, the creature retreated into the shimmering, inky blackness, as if her mind was unable to comprehend that such a thing could actually exist. But then the smell hit her, a blend of rotten meat and excrement, and the horror became real once more. The creature bellowed again, and this time Kaine responded with a scream of her own. "Alright, you bastard!" she thought as her scream echoed off the high cliffs around them. "It's you or me. Let's fucking go." The shade eyed Kaine with a bemused interest. Then it began looking from her to her house and back again, as if urging her to look upon the destruction it had so gleefully wrought. With dread building in her heart, Kaine glanced towards the house. Through the smoke and the flames, through the fire and the flames. We carry on. Never mind. She spotted a small figure struggling to escape the ruins. Grandma! At the sound of her voice, the old woman began waving frantically. She's alive! Thought Kaine. She's actually alive! Kaine's legs sprang to life as she raced across the yard towards the flaming wreckage of a home. Before she could advance more than just a few steps, the shade opened its mouth and let out a roar so powerful that it uprooted trees and sent them flying. The blast sent Kaine tumbling through the air before smashing her head against the rocky earth. Stars danced in front of her eyes as she tried to remember how her legs worked. Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Now! As Kaine struggled to her feet, the shade stomped towards the house and pinned her grandma to the ground with the tip of a claw. The old woman struggled to move the claw from her stomach, but she might as well have been pushing a mountain. She coughed briefly, sending a small spray of blood into the air, then collapsed onto the ground, energy spent. Kaine lurched to her feet, only to fall back to the ground with a gasp. Her ankles were on fire. One or both of them were surely broken. Ignoring the pain that screamed through her body, she began dragging herself across the ground, leaving a drunken trail of blood and dust in her wake. "Grandma, hold on. Just a little longer." Her grandmother's face was turning blue, her eyes rolling back until only the whites were exposed. Kaine pulled herself across the ground with a maddening slowness, the distance seeming to increase with every second that passed. The Shade glanced between the two women and flicked out its tongue, its giant mouth turning up at the corners. Short, panting breaths belched from somewhere within its core. Bastard, laughing at us. She had no idea how such a mindless creature could experience emotion, but there could be no doubt that the Shade was taking joy in their suffering. "Yeah, I see your plan." The Shade moved its claw slightly, allowing Grandma to breathe once more. It was clearly keeping her alive only to snuff her life when Kaine was close enough to touch her. "I'm gonna kill this fucking bastard." Summoning all her strength, Kaine rose to her feet. There was a sickening snap from her right ankle as the foot twisted backwards, but she forced it from her mind and began to hobble towards the monster. Pulling a small knife from her pouch at her waist, she leapt on the foot that pinned her grandma and plunged the weapon deep. "Give her back!" she screamed. "Give her back to me!" It was like stabbing a rock. After a few swipes, the knife broke at the hilt with a dull snap. The Shade panted laughter again, and rose its tail to send it rushing forward through the air towards the young girl that was latched on his foot. Kaine never had a chance. The tail struck her square in the chest and sent her crashing into the burning wreckage of her home. As she laid on the ground with blood pouring from multiple wounds, a small weak voice spoke up. "Kaine?" Kaine's vision blurred, but she forced herself to focus on the sound. Finally, her eyes were cleared enough for her to make out her grandma's hands reaching through the smoke. "Grandma? Kaine, you gotta run. You can't best this one." Kaine grabbed the hand and held on with all her strength. "Grandma, come on. We have to go." The old woman coughed loudly. One of her hands, slick with blood, slipped from Kaine's grasp and thumped to the ground below. "Grandma! No. No! I said run, goddammit! You have to live. You have to get through." The thought would stay forever unfinished. Before she could say another word, the Shade clawed foot descended, smashing through the remains of the roof and down upon the shattered figure of the old woman. Blood oozed from the gaps in the creature's toes as a terrible putrid smell assaulted Kaine's nose once again. She stared at the foot, dumbfounded, convinced that what she was seeing could not possibly be real. When the creature finally lifted its appendage, all that remained underneath was a twisted, unrecognizable mass of rubble and red. Her grandma was gone. Kaine blinked, trying to feel the hands which had been upon hers just a few moments before. For a fleeting instant, she could remember the warmth of the embrace, the trembling of her fingers, but the sensation drifted away on the breeze that was gone. Memories flashed through Kaine's mind, one after another, faster and faster, until they became just a meaningless jangle of noise. Kaine screamed then, a thunderous sound that echoed off the cliffs that seemed to roll away forever. The Shade eased forward, black ichor pouring from its mouth and dissolving into smoke on the ground. The earth shook with every step as it crept towards its prey. Kaine's body rose as if controlled by a mad puppet master. Her arms and legs were bent at impossible angles. Her head lolled dangerously to the side, and yet somehow she managed to stand. Staring at the shade, her eyes began to glow with a deep red fire. The creature, so confident just a moment before, took a slow, hesitant step backwards, as if trying to discern if this broken human could possibly pose a threat. Kaine seized the moment. Laughing like a madwoman, she leapt into the air and plunged the shattered hilt of her blade deep into the leg of the shade. The shade shook Kaine off like a fly, sending her crashing into the earth once again. Her chest rose and fell slowly, as if a great weight were resting on it. Moist sounds of pain echoed through her mind. Something warm and thick oozed from her ears. Is this blood? Think it is. I'm bleeding to death. No, I can't die. Grandma told me to live. Deep inside Kaine's mind, something finally snapped. The sound, the pain, the smoke and flames, it all faded away until all that remained was a single incantation repeated over and over again. Kill it. 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 Kill it now. As the spark that was Kaine slowly began to flicker and die, she felt her desire to kill and her desire to live blend into one. The distance between her heartbeats grew longer and longer and longer. One question. Is Kaine trans? Do we have a trans queen?
The beast approaches. Oh, I know.
Are we doing this fight again? Looks like it. I was getting a little bit tired of reading. Again, reading isn't exactly my strong suit. I can read, I just have an auditory processing disorder that makes it difficult for me to, it makes it a little bit difficult for me to read. I like to say that my language processing, or that the language department in my brain is broken. I mean, that's not incorrect. I was honestly kind of hoping to play as Kaine. And not just NieR. And actually, if I'm correct that Kaine is trans, or at least queer, happy Pride Month! Gently, weakly, softly. The shade, sure that its tormentor was dead, turned and stomped off towards the horizon, stopping along the way to bellow one final roar. Couldn't kill it. Shame beyond imagining, Kaine tried to turn her head to the side, but only succeeded in coughing up a huge gout of blood. It was getting difficult to see, and only after a few moments of fierce concentration did she realize that her left eye was gone. Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and noticed a ragged stump of arm resting a few feet away. Yeah, that's mine, she thought with a mad giggle. This is gonna make clapping a real bitch. Cried a sudden voice from the depths of her mind. Finally gonna die, are ya? Well, you had it coming. Go to hell, Demo, she thought at the unseen assailant. Go to hell before I pluck out your eyes and feed them to the dogs. The voice of her childhood terror evaporated into smoke, only being replaced by another, more recent voice. Hold still, said the apothecary, materializing from the ruins like a ghost. I want to draw you. That way you can live forever. No, stop! I don't want to live forever. I want to die right here. I see, he said quietly. Well, if that's what you want. The spectral shopkeeper fluttered in and out of existence for a moment, then produced a piece of paper and sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned the page to Kaine and smiled. Since you rejected my offer, I decided to draw somebody else. It was a picture of her grandmother, real as life. Kaine opened her mouth to thank the man, but stopped as the picture began to blacken in the middle. Before she could say anything, dozens of multi-legged insects began to swarm across the image, tearing it with their sharp pincers. No, stop, no! Please don't hurt the picture! Kaine reached out with her remaining arm and waved futilely at the air. To her surprise, the insects fell off the picture to the ground below, where they vanished into tiny black tendrils of smoke. Relieved, Kaine turned her good eye back to the picture, only to open her mouth with a silent scream. The sketch now showed her grandmother as she truly was, a smashed, unrecognizable lump of nothing. The apothecary smiled, then broke out into a jolly dance. See that? He cried as he danced his jig. It's perfect now. She looks just like you. I look like that? Oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Drowning in despair, Kaine laid her head back in the mud and smoke of a ruined house and waited for the end to come. But just before she let everything go, an unfamiliar voice began whispering in her ear. Ain't you got a wish, sunshine? The voice was vulgar and fierce at the same time, as if insanity had somehow found its way to take form. Kaine wanted to scream as the voice crawled under her skin, but her lungs refused to work. You know, a wish? Like a prayer? Or something? Why don't you get back on your knees and start praying to heaven? Please, invisible man in the sky, please save me! Save me! Kaine finally resorted to shouting at the sky with her mind. I don't make wishes. They don't come true for me. I'm a curse. I'm a freak. I should be left to die. The other voice boomed in her ears. Oh god, you're the best! Kaine glanced down and saw a black, shiny substance oozing from her legs. She tried to brush it away, but her remaining arm would no longer respond. The substance slowly crept around her feet, then began moving up towards the rest of her body. Is this death? Is this what it's like? Or is my mind just losing itself? She could feel the slime oozing upward, feeling the hot, searing pain it left in its wake. Whatever else might be happening, she was alive and this was real. Come on, said the voice. Let it go. Kaine tried to ignore the voice and concentrate on the pain, but the newcomer would have none of it. Don't ignore me, bitch. Get up and live. You're ready to give up. Ready to die. So why not let me have it? Have what? Your body. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. I want to stand on ground. I want to feel the rain, taste the wind. The voice paused, as if licking its lips. When it resumed, it was filled with mad, unabated joy. And I want to take your hands and use them to choke the goddamn life out of people. I want to tear out their throats and bathe the world in blood, just like before. In response, Kaine shifted her head and vomited. The warmth of it crept down her front and mingled with the pain of the encroaching black ooze. Are you a shade? Yeah, maybe. What of it? The slime reached her face, crept up past her nose, and slowly oozed into the socket of her missing eye. The moment it touched her brain, Kaine was struck by the most powerful sensation she'd ever felt in her life. It was ecstasy. She wanted to scream with delight, but all she could manage was a small, whispered moan. Feels good, doesn't it? Asked the voice with a chuckle. Yeah, what can I say? I know how to please the ladies. Now give me the body. Come on, give me the body and I'll show you more of this feeling. It's a fair trade. The black lump began to protrude from Kaine's side. As she watched, it grew larger and thicker, eventually beginning the form of her missing arm. I can see better, she thought. It must be my eye growing back too. The slime reached up to envelop the rest of her face, but she managed to brush it away. Stop, she whispered, marveling at how she regained her voice. Stop. The black ooze hesitated, as if considering the request, then quickly shimmered down her body before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. What the hell, Sunshine? Screamed the voice. We had the deal. I thought you wanted to die. Grandma said, I can't die yet. A brief image of her grandmother, bloodied and broken, flashed in her eye before her eyes. She saw the shade that had killed her and heard the mocking laughter, then closed her eyes and forced the image from her mind. Her whole body was quaking with rage. When she opened her eyes again, they burned bright red. That thing took my grandmother. I have to kill it before I die. Kaine glanced down and saw a mysterious pattern. The pattern of a shade burned itself into her left arm. Well, I'll be damned, said the voice cheerfully. Look at that, Sunshine. I think you and me, we're going to be good friends now. Kaine stared intently at her arm. The more emotional she felt, the more the letters seemed ready to puncture her skin and begin infecting the rest of her body. The arm clearly had a will of its own now. Stop. Gotta stop. Holding her left arm in her right, Kaine took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. Come on, don't fight it, pleaded the voice. Hate's my favorite dish, and I'm famished. Let it go. Burn the anger. Burn or feel the anger. Burn the fire of revenge. Thirst for blood. Then go out there and... Shut up! Shut the hell up and get the hell out of my body! Your body? Oh, that's rich, Sunshine. Real rich. Look, why don't you just give up and die so I can have this body all to myself? What do you say? I bet those buddies of yours in the area would love to see you dead. Kaine grabbed the nearby shard of glass and tried to saw the shade-infected portion of her side. Before she could, the darkened left arm grabbed her right wrist, crushing it. Kaine screamed and dropped the shard as the sound of bone crushing on bone filled the air. Stupid idiot girl! You're possessed now, Sunshine. Ain't no going back. The voice laughed again, a loud, long wail that seemed to go on without end. Possessed? Whispered Kaine. Yeah, possessed. You and me? We got what you might call a timeshare agreement. Or arrangement. Remember how folks used to think that you were a freak? Well, wait till they get a load of you now. Kaine looked up, tears in her eyes. The sky seemed smaller now. Darker. Is this because of the shade? Is this how they see the world? So, listen, purred the voice. I know this whole possession thing seems a bit sudden, but it ain't all that bad. There's plenty in it for you too. I'm a very powerful creature, Sunshine, and now that power belongs to you. You got enemies, people you want to kill? I can make that happen. That little fat bitch of a kid who kept picking on you, that old big shade that squashed your granny, we'll wrap each of them up in their own assholes. No more abuse for you, Sunshine. No more pain. Wait, Kaine said. You're a shade. Why would you help me kill another shade? What? You think I'm some sort of racist? Some killing snob? I don't give a good goddamn who you murder, honey pants. I just want to drink from the well. Kaine considered this as she struggled to her feet, the power of the shade coursing through her. The smoke from her house was drifting away in the wind, and she enjoyed the way the cool evening breeze now felt on her left arm. After a long pause, the voice spoke up again. So, how about it? You and me. We could have some good times together. Look, I'll even take care of that bloody part if you don't want. Fuck off, asshole, muttered Kaine. I'll handle the killing. Oh, look at you go, Sunshine. Oh, we're gonna have so much fun. So listen, my name's Tyran. If you ever need me, I'll just be hanging out in this place of meat you call... some people would call it a heart. Now get to it. The more you kill, the more your heart turns rotten and sour. And I like rotten and sour. Kaine found herself nodding at the voice. Yeah, she said. Yeah, I think this could work. I'm gonna find that shade and I'm gonna strangle it with his own guts. And when I'm done, I'm gonna do the same to you, Tyran. You can count on it. Laughed Tyran. I've shit bigger than you, so good luck with that. Oh, and hey, one more thing. Right now, you and me sharing this body? If you ever run out of hate, if you ever, you know, go soft, then I'm gonna take over everything. So keep on killing, Sunshine, and watch your back. The voice grew fainter and gradually faded away, falling to somewhere deep inside Kaine herself. Kaine waited until she was sure the voice was gone, and then waved her new left arm a few times. This feels perfectly normal, she thought. Feels like mine. Desperately, she began poking and prodding at the new limb, determined to find something wrong with it. She didn't want it to feel normal. That would mean that the creature inside her had already won. I'm not a shade. I'm Kaine. Repeating this mantra in her mind, she slowly began digging around the rubble of her house, being careful to ignore the certain red-stained spot in the corner. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of heartbreaking work, she finally found what she was looking for. It was the wreath of lunar tears. Though it had been through hell and back, the garland petals were as bright as ever. Kaine started to place it in her hair, then slowly lowered the wreath and stared at it. I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry, but I don't deserve to wear this anymore. I'm possessed. I'm corrupted. I'm a freak. And this time, I don't think there's any going back. Holding the flowers to her heart, Kaine fell to the ground and sobbed. As night gradually lightened into dawn and the people of the area arose to their daily lives, she remained in that position, as if tears could somehow wash away the horror that had now affected her world.
Alive. Stay alive. Stay alive.
Grandma.
Kaine, you gotta live. You gotta come back to us.
Oh, hey. Emil, you were the one calling me, weren't you?
You still recognize me?
Of course. I knew you right away.
Thank you, Kaine.
Welcome back, Kaine.
Wow, you grew up. So, how long has it been?
5 years.
Shit. That's a long time. Any luck with Yonah?
We are still no closer to finding her. We need
The
a way to
camera's
locate the
centered around
Shadowlord.
Kaine,
By the way, this is for you.
I think.
Is that a lunar tear?
It's not as good as your grandmother's, but I tried.
No, it's great. Thank you.
Kaine waking from her long petrified sleep. Emil's unflagging kindness. Our reunion was a happy one, and we let it wash over us like rain. That is, until Devila and Popola had to go and ruin it all. Are you kidding me? You can't be serious!
Please try to understand. People are tired and scared, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to bear the brunt of that.
This is crap, and you know it!
It's okay. We can sleep outside.
No one's sleeping outside. You and Kaine saved this village, and now they want to run you out?
People are afraid of us. And really, I understand. I mean, look at me. As long as you're still with us, I can deal with it. Right, Kaine?
I'm used to sleeping outside.
But
We'll see you later.
Sorry about this.
What is the matter?
Kaine always sleeps outside. I never thought about that until just now. Never even occurred to me. Damn it.
We should turn in.
I didn't get much sleep that night. For the first time in my life, I hated Devila. For the first time in my life, I doubted Popola. But those feelings are pointless in the end. They said and did what they did for the sake of the village. To protect it from the horror of the Shades. Really, how can I blame Devila and Popola? In the end, I'm just as bad. Because I never once stopped to think about Kaine and Emil's situation myself. I should apologize to Kaine and Emil. But what good would that even do?
I got a fire going. Kaine.
Wait, is that?
Campfires? I'm so happy to get to talk to you again, Kaine.
Yeah, me too.
I tried everything I could think of to save you, you know. I polished you with this special cloth. I poured warm water over you.
Emil, we don't deserve you.
Wait, you poured water on me?
Yeah, but it didn't really do much except make you all shiny.
Hey, Emil. Thanks for saving me.
I guess you noticed how I look different now.
It's, it's a subtle difference. It's like a new haircut, you know?
I'm sorry, Emil. I'm sorry for all of it.
Well, I mean, this new form isn't all bad, you know? At least I can look at you when we talk, right?
Yeah. Without, turning her into stone again. Yeah, I guess.
Hey, so why don't you tell me something about yourself?
I'm not very interesting. Sorry.
Come on, I just want to know you better. Please?
Fine. This all happened when I was a kid. Before the whole shade possession thing. My body is different. And when the villagers found out about it, they started treating me like a freak. But one person, my grandmother, accepted me just as I was. No matter how bad things got, she gave me the strength to keep going.
She's really special to you, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, hey! That gives me an idea. Since we cured your petrification, we should start looking for a way to cure your possession in my body. I know we can do it if we all work together. Heck, it'll probably be super easy.
Let me guess. More warm water?
Okay, can we just forget I told you about that?
No. God, we don't deserve either of them.
Sleep well?
Sure.
And yet your red eyes tell a different tale. Don't be so hard on yourself, lad.
I need to go see Devila and Popola.
Very well.
Huh. 900 gold.
What?
It's Mom's diary.
Oh,
I've not heard you speak much about your mother.
She got the Black Scrawl and died when I was little.
My apologies for bringing it up.
It's alright. I can barely remember her face anymore. This is the only thing I have left of her. Reading it helps remind me of when we were still a family.
I see.
But the final entries get a little strange.
In what way?
Well, here. Take a look.
well, this is gonna be a long one.
Say there. Can you not hear me? Why are you standing about like a slack-jawed ninny?
Sorry. Felt like I was dreaming or something.
Sleeping on one's feet is quite the talent indeed. Come now, there's the door.
Right. Let's go.
Why is his voice so deep? Okay, I guess this is gonna be a two-parter unless I can go back. Yeah.
My word.
Something wrong?
I feel as if I've just awoken from a most unpleasant dream.
I know what you mean. That happens to me whenever I read it.
Yeah, I don't want to touch that quite yet. Huh, I was not expecting this. I was expecting to, like, actually be able to play as Kaine. But her backstory... How did I do it again? Forgetting exactly how I twisted around in circles. But yeah, her backstory. Honestly, not what I was expecting. I guess that does explain, you know, yes, she did technically die before we met her. That explains the shade. I'm just wondering if she's, like, trans or something. Or non-binary or something. I don't know, that just could be me. But I don't know. I guess next time we're gonna chew out Popola and Devla again. Not gonna be touching the diary. Maybe I'll touch the diary. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to think about it, but we're definitely gonna be chewing out Popola and Devla. But until then, this is Moon signing out. See ya.